get rid of the gas car and drive an electric car. Can any of you give me a figure?
Senator, the Treasury Department reports we spent about $1 billion year to date. So for the first half of this year, so roughly $2 billion this year.
We're behind.
As I noted,
how much do you think it'll cost, Doctor? You're a doctor,
so
right?
$2 billion this year is what the estimate from the Treasury Department.
How much do you think it will cost for us to, let's say, get 75% of these 200?
How much will it cost American consumers to remain?
How much? Do you know how much it'll cost, Doctor?
No one knows the future with certainty, Senator.
Right. You just think we ought to keep throwing money at it until we hit the jackpot.
I think we ought to set a stable policy framework that allows American consumers to become familiar with the environment and American businesses to innovate and to compete within that stable framework. That's what I said earlier in my testimony.
And how much will that cost?
Will cost less than the benefits delivered by the policy.
I don't care how much it costs, do you?
I care if the benefits exceed the costs. I don't care about the costs.
You don't
These are
care
investments
how much
in the
it
public.
costs, do you?
I care very much how much it costs. As long as the benefits exceed the costs, that's an investment worth making.
Well, so, okay.
How much does it cost to seed the industries of the future to China?
I get to ask the questions.
The hearing wrapped up with Senator Kennedy bringing it home to real people. In his state, the median household income is $55,000. These rising electricity costs and expensive EVs, they're hitting regular Americans hard. The experts talked about benefits like charging costs and driving experience, but couldn't put a price tag on the transition.
Do any of you have any idea how much it would cost
Senator,
to get, say, 75% of the American people
Senator,
driving electric cars?
If I could, your question is fair. One answer to it is the cost of inaction of the U.S. not competing is far greater than any incentive on the front end.
Okay, quantify that for me. Oh, man, I'm way over. I'm sorry, Sheldon. Quantify that for me, because here's
once you wrap up with this, because I think everybody's had a chance to try to answer your question, and
here's
you're
my
repeating
problem.
it at this point.
Okay, we all want clean air, we all want bright water, we all want to eat, and we all want to live indoors. Okay, but there are trade-offs in all of this. Despite what the Princeton professor thinks, we don't have unlimited money. This is not Princeton. So we have to decide the cost and the benefits. And nobody seems to be able to quantify the costs. They just say, keep throwing money at it, throwing money at it, throwing money at it. And nobody can really quantify the benefits, except if we don't do it, then we're all going to die. And when I go back to my people and say, your electricity costs have gone up 30%, but it's for a good cause. Why, Kennedy? Because you're going to die if we don't do it. Why, Kennedy? Because a professor at Princeton says so. That doesn't work for most Americans. Can you answer that for me? You see my frustration. I love driving an electric car. I think they're really cool. But the median household income in my state's $55,000. Our Princeton professor probably makes that in a week. Okay? They don't care what they think at Princeton. Can you answer that for me, guys?
I can't answer how much it's going to cost, but I can tell you that just last year alone, China in the EV market subsidized it by $12.4 billion, and that's their annual spend. It's more than, even with in our best year, it's more than two-thirds of the United States spends.
But let me ask you a question. How much will it cost China to become carbon neutral by 2050?
I am very concerned. Well, they won't, but I'm more concerned about the risk to the U.S. economy of losing the auto manufacturing industry.
How much would it cost them? Do you know? See, nobody talks about the cost. I'll tell you how much it'll cost them. It'll cost them $1 trillion a year starting today to be carbon neutral by 2050. You know how much it'll cost Russia? $250 billion a year. 3 times what their defense budget. Now, if you believe that Vladimir Putin is going to spend $250 billion for climate change, then you'll never own your own home. So we go spend all this money, which y'all can't quantify. We just keep spending. They don't spend the money. They're at an advantage, and you know how much world temperatures are lowered? None. Zero, zilch, nada.
There you have it, folks. A perfect example of the disconnect between policymakers and real-world implications. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to Capital Insights, and share with someone who needs to hear this. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think about the EV transition debate. Until next time, stay informed and keep asking the tough questions.